welcome to our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to Midday News on Global Television. We're live in the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Anthony Momodu. President Bola Tinubu has sent his deepest condolences to the family of Comrade Ali Chiroma over the passing of the elder statesman. Comrade Chiroma was former president of the Nigerian Labour Congress, the NLC, and held various positions within the trade union hierarchy. The president, in a statement by his spokesperson, Ajirin Gilale, sympathized with the Chiroma family, the organized labor community, and everyone impacted by this painful loss. The Lagos State Traffic Management Authority has warned motorists to observe speed limits when traveling along the extensive section of the newly repaired Third Mainland Bridge. This was disclosed in a statement issued by the agency's spokesperson Adebayo Taofeek. He urged motorists to observe all traffic signs and installed technological equipment connected to traffic. The Lagos State government had on March 30th announced the planned reopening of the Third Mainland Bridge. A federal high court in Abuja has ordered the detention of a Nigerian accused of being a member of the Islamic State in Iraq and Syria, Emmanuel Osase, for 60 days. The trial judge, Eyaneko, gave the order following a motion ex parte filed by the Department of State Services. The proceedings, the applicant's counsel, Ugi, told the court that the matter was brought pursuant of Section 66 of Section 1 of the Terrorism Prevention and Prohibition Act 2022. He prayed the court for an order enabling the applicant to detain the respondent for 60 days pending the conclusion of the investigation. The Minister of Education, Professor Tahir Mamman, says security agencies will go after individuals with fake university certificates in the country. According to the minister, the individuals will be tracked after the committee set up by the federal government to investigate the activities of university certificate racketeers in the country submit its report. The federal government had set up an interministerial investigative committee on degree certificate mailing to probe the activities of certificate racketeers following an investigative report which exposed the activities of degree mills in the Benin Republic. The detained President Miyetti Allah Kauri Bello Akudejo, who is facing a 3-count terrorism charge, yesterday insisted on his innocence, saying he had no criminal record prior to his arrest. Bodejo was arrested at the Miyetti Allah's office in Karo local government area of Nasarawa State shortly after he unveiled a vigilante group. He has been in custody of the Defense Intelligence Agency DIA since January 23rd, even though the Federal High Court sitting in Abuja had on March 22nd okayed his detention. However, the defendant, through his team of lawyers led by Ahmed Raji SAN, approached the court to release him on bail, pending the determination of the charge against him. He pledged not to jump bail if released from detention, adding that his deteriorating health and created an exceptional circumstances that should sway the discretion of the court in his favor. The defendant contended that the proof of evidence adduced in the matter did not disclose any prima facie criminal case against him to warrant his trial. The chairman House of Representative Committee on Disability says the unfortunate discriminatory treatment at Adebola Daniel by the KFC outlet at the Murtala International Airport in the wake-up call for the full implementation of the Disability Act signed into law in 2019 by the previous administration. Fauzia Lukman has details.
Daniel, a wheelchair user, faced humiliation when he was refused entry into the KFC outlet when the manager wrote "no wheelchairs allowed." This treatment, according to him, is unacceptable and goes against the principle of inclusivity and respect, and it is a violation against the Disability Act.
Committee has already sent out invitations to KFC. We're in touch with Mr. Adebola Daniel. And letter has also gone out to FAN. The committee could not take up a physical investigation right now, because if you follow, they say FAN has closed the KFC. So even if we want to do a surprise oversight, which is allowed, we can't go inside there. And we also found out that the DG actually was also not around because it's holiday period. So yes is the answer. There will be investigation, but the investigation will follow house rules. On investigation, this is what we have done on the investigation. We've gone to the floor to move the motions for the whole House to give us the authority to investigate compliance.
While commending the Speaker of the House for establishing the Committee on Disability, Honorable Bashir Daudu also commended the speed with which government intervened in resolving the dispute between Daniel and KFC, while assuring that the committee will work assiduously through its oversight functions with all relevant agencies to ensure that the Disability Act is fully implemented in the country.
Section 1 of the law, prohibition of discrimination and awareness programs. In subsection 1, he said, and I quote, "A person with disability shall not be discriminated against on the ground of his disability by any person or institution in any manner or circumstance." If you go to section 2, which is just the two sections I will mention, because I would like to get a few questions from you. In section 2, a person with disability has the right to access the physical environment and buildings on an equal basis with others.
He says the focus is on enhancing the lives of persons with disabilities and preventing incidents such as what happened to the likes of Daniels through robust implementation of the Disability Act. Fauziya Lukman, Global TV News.
The Nigerian Army 35 Artillery Brigade Alamala Abeokuta said it has handed over 441 purposive substances suspected to be cannabis sativa weighing 233 kilograms to the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency Ogun State Command. Acting Assistant Director, Army Public Relations, 35 Artillery Brigade Alamala Abeokuta, Lieutenant Mohammed Goni, stated this in a statement made in Abeokuta, Ogun State capital. Goni said the troops of the brigade had intercepted a Mazda Bus with plate number NRK 622SB, conveying the substance at the Molugbede village in Odeda local government area of the state. He said that the commander, 35 Artillery Brigade, Brigadier General Mohammed Aminu, commended the troops for their efforts, urging them to continue to remain vigilant in their various locations. You're watching Midday News coming to you live from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. We're on Star Times channel 276. Kindly follow us on all social media platforms using @GlobalTVNG and other handles now showing on your screen. When Midday News returns, steady dollar supply pushes Naira to 1,262 Naira to $1. These and other stories coming right after this break. So stay with us. Welcome back from the break. This is Global Television bringing you live broadcast of Midday News. Thank you for staying with us. On the foreign scene, rescuers of Taiwan are working to reach more than 600 stranded people a day after the island experienced its worst earthquake in 25 years. One survivor has recounted how tremors unleashed rock slides like bullets around the coal mine he was working at. The 7.4 magnitude earthquake hit near the eastern country of Fulian, killing 9 and injuring more than 1,000. Some stuck in tunnels and near a national park have been rescued by helicopters. About 34 are still missing. The official number of people trapped or stranded rose considerably from about 100 to 660 as people started getting phone signals back in the mountainous regions. Almost all are guests and staff of a remote hotel who cannot leave because of damaged roads. Officials are now trying to work out the best way to get them out. U.S. President Joe Biden has condemned Israel's killing of 7 humanitarian aid workers in Gaza, saying he was outraged and heartbroken. He accused Israel of not doing enough to protect aid workers. Meanwhile, Israel promised an independent investigation after the UK, US, Canada, Australia, and Poland lost nationals in the Monday's attack. Israeli President Isaac Herzog has apologized for the death. The 7 victims who were working for World Central Kitchen were killed when their convoy was attacked from the air. President Biden called for Israel's investigation to be conducted swiftly and said it must bring accountability and its findings be made public. He says distribution aid in Gaza had been so difficult, adding that Israel had not done enough to protect aid workers trying to deliver desperately needed help to civilians. Biden also accused Israel of not doing enough to protect Palestinian civilians. An official of the Binance Holdings Limited, Tigran Gabayan, is in court over allegations of tax evasion. He and fleeing Nadim Ajawala are expected to be arraigned today at the Federal High Court in Abuja. In the suit marked FHC ABJ CR 115-2024, Binance was accused of failing to register with the Federal Inland Revenue Service for the purpose of paying all relevant taxes administered by the service. The FIS also alleged that while it was offering taxable services to subscribers on its trading platform, the company failed to issue invoices to those subscribers for the purposes of determining and the payment of its value-added tax. In business, the Naira continued its gain against the United States dollars, appreciating both at the official foreign exchange and parallel markets to the delight of many Nigerians. At the Nigerian autonomous foreign exchange market, the Naira gained 16 Naira or 1.26% as the dollar was quoted at 1,262 Naira 85 kobo to a dollar, stronger than 1,278 Naira 58 kobo. Data from the FMDQ Security Exchange indicated. This means the local currency has steady dollar supply, pushes Naira to 1,262 Naira to a dollar, continued its positive streak against the grain with expectations of further appreciation. The appreciation of the local currency was attributed to the several foreign exchange policies implemented by the Central Bank of Nigeria to boost dollar supply and enhance transparency in the forex market. Manufacturers and organized labor have kicked against the federal government's 240% hike in the tariff payable by the electricity users enjoying a 20-hour power supply. They insisted on the electricity subsidy, warning that its removal would send manufacturers out of business and worsen inflation. The subsidy on electricity has been withdrawn completely from the tariff payable by power consumers in the Band A category, who constitute about 15% of the total number of power users across the country. The government announced the hike in the electricity bill at a press briefing in Abuja by NEC, adding that those affected would now pay a tariff of 225 Naira per kilowatt hour, up from the previous rate of 68 Naira per kilowatt hour, representing about 240% increase. The Private Telecommunications and Communications Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, PTEC SSNA has suspended its planned strike, which was to begin on Thursday. In a statement signed by its General Secretary Okonu Abdullahi, the union said the suspension was a result of agreements reached with the subcontractors it had issued with. On April 2nd, the plans to embark on indefinite strike over alleged unresolved issues with subcontractors linked with Hawaii Technological Nigeria Limited. The Nigerian Customs Service says it has generated over 1.3 trillion naira in the first quarter of 2024. The Controller General of the service, Adewale Adeniyi, announced this while addressing journalists in Abuja on the performance of the service, where he stated that the collection for the first quarter represents a substantial increase of 122.35% compared to the same period in the year 2023, which stood at over 6.6 billion naira. Kikelomo Okere tells us more.
The Comptroller General of Customs rules out that month-by-month analysis further illustrates the service growth trajectory, saying that in January 2024, revenue collection surged by 95.60%, reaching over 390.824 billion naira from over 199.809 billion naira recorded in January 2023. The upward trend continued in February 2024 with a staggering 138.68% growth, elevating revenue collection to over 450.209 billion naira from over 188.62 billion naira in February 2023. By March 2024, the revenue collected by NCS revenue grew by 132.76% from over 217.66 billion naira to over 506.642 billion naira.
Relates this to federal government's annual revenue target of 5.07 trillion for the NCS in 2024. The target translates to a monthly revenue target of 423 billion. We are pleased to report an average monthly revenue growth by 6.2% over the set monthly target and a cumulative revenue collection of 18.6% equivalent to 78,608,972.75 over and above a target of 1.2 trillion for the first quarter.
He further stated that in the first quarter of 2024, the NCS recorded a total of 572 seizures encompassing various items valued at over 10.593 billion naira in duty paid value, adding that January saw 111 seizures amounting to over 842 million naira in duty paid value, while February marked the highest seizure number of 432, totaling over 3.70 billion naira.
As usual, rice constituted about 40% of the seizures, followed by petroleum products at 25%, with motor vehicles and textile accounting for 9% and 6% of the seizures, respectively. During this same period, Customs detained 22 suspects, and appropriate legal measures are being taken in accordance with the Nigerian Customs Service Act 2023.
The Customs Chiefs further reels out some of the challenges encountered during the quarter under review. He says these challenges encompasses issues related to non-compliance with regulations, infrastructure limitation, and a notable decline in cargo, evidenced by 4.89% decrease in the volume of transactions handled. He added that the exchange rate utilized by Customs in the clearance of goods via the Nigerian Integrated Information System is based on the rate determined by Central Bank of Nigeria. In lieu of this, he says the NCS is gearing up to launch the NCS Custom Analytical Laboratory, a critical measure set to take effect in second and third quarter 2024, a specialized facility equipped and advanced analytical instruments and techniques for scientific analysis of goods and materials.
In addition to that, significant fluctuations in exchange rates applied in the customs clearance of consignments posed considerable difficulties to our operations. Leveraging state-of-the-art technology and expertise aided by Customs Analytical Laboratory is expected to enhance our capacity to detect and prevent smuggling, counterfeit goods, and other illicit activities, thereby safeguarding public health.
He reiterated the NCS commitment to support the actualization of the 8-point agenda of President Tinubu-led administration. This commitment is demonstrated through both direct and indirect contribution to key areas such as economic growth, improved security, upholding the rules of law, and fighting corruption. Kike Lomo Okeri, Global Television News.
The Nigerian Automotive Industry Development Plan Implementation Committee will address the challenge of reliance on imported vehicles in the country. The Director General of the National Automotive Design and Development Council, Joseph Osanipin, made this disclosure in a statement. The Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Doris Nkiruka Uzoka Anite, inaugurated the committee with membership from relevant federal ministries and agencies of government in Abuja. Osanipin said the new auto policy was signed in the year 2023 with the sole aim of curtailing Nigeria's almost total dependence on imports of automobiles, adding that the implementation would meet a significant proportion of demand through domestic production of vehicles and components. A coalition of civil society organizations, CSOs, led by the Network Against Corruption and Trafficking Initiative, has urged the House of Representatives Committee on Public Petitions to accelerate its efforts in addressing petitions against indicted public officials. The CSOs expressed concerns over the delayed response to petitions highlighting alleged financial infractions committed by the individuals holding public office. These infractions include money laundering, corruption, abuse of office, and false asset declaration. The CSOs called on President Tinubu to build on his administration's commitment to fiscal integrity and governance accountability by supporting legislative efforts to tackle the corrupt activities undermining the government's reformative hope mantra. No fewer than 15 universities in the United Kingdom have announced plans to sack some workers and even stop running some courses because of the sharp decline in enrollment by foreign students, including Nigerians. The sharp decline in foreign student enrollment was particularly felt at the postgraduate level. The development is also connected to the decision by the UK government to reduce international students as some concessions given them that level have been whittled down also. There are concerns too that the high cost of living being experienced globally may negatively affect enrollment of foreign students at the undergraduate level. And wrapping it up, the volume of dollar traded in the official foreign exchange markets increased year-on-year by 95% to $12.68 billion in the first quarter of the year, from $6.5 billion in the first quarter of 2023. The sharp increase reflects impact of recent measures by the Central Bank of Nigeria to liberalize the forex market and improve dollar supply into the country. Analysis shown on data on daily transactions provided by FMDQ showed that the market recorded turnover of $2.14 billion in January, which increased by 133.6% to $5 billion in February, and up by 10.8% to $5.54 billion in March. Analysis of transactions in March showed that the turnover stood at $296 million on the first day of March and $1.15 billion in the second week. In sport, ahead of the highly anticipated clash between Nigeria and South Africa for the sport at the women's football event of the 2024 Olympics in Paris, a section of fans have expressed concern over the Super Falcons' chances of qualifying for the event following a camp update from the team's social media handle. The two teams, arguably the best women's football squads on the African continent, will face off in a two-legged affair as they battle for one of the two tickets from Africa for the Paris 2024 Olympics women's football event. The first leg of the encounter will take place at the Moshood Abiola National Stadium, Abuja, on Friday, while the return leg is scheduled for Pretoria 4 days later. And that's how we call it a wrap on Midday News. I am Anthony Momodu.